The Dershow.
The judge tried to deny the defendant the right to put on a defense. First, he said, even though there are letters and testimony by Cohen that says that the payment was an illegal campaign contribution, which it clearly was not, but the prosecution put in evidence that it was an illegal campaign contribution, and yet the judge denied the defendant the right to put on the country's leading expert on campaign contributions to testify that it wasn't even close. It's not a campaign contribution. It's a personal contribution, not a campaign contribution. And the judge refused to allow him to put the expert on to say that. Oh, we could put the expert on to just say, I'm an expert, but you couldn't testify as to the substance and contradict what was put on the other side. So that denies Trump the right to put on a defense, but this is even worse. So you get Robert Costello, a very distinguished lawyer, the former deputy head of the criminal division of the Justice Department, U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York, one of the most dignified and distinguished offices in the country. And he's testifying. And right one after the other, the judge is making erroneous rulings. And every time the judge made one of these erroneous rulings, I would shake my head. I would go, my God, or I would raise my eyebrows, or I would stare at the judge. I'm entitled to do that. I'm an observer. But the witness did the same thing when the judge made ruling after ruling against allowing him to fulfill his oath to testify to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Apparently, I didn't see it, even though I was sitting right there. Apparently, Costello rolled his eyes, and the judge got furious and cleared the courtroom, made every single journalist get out of the courtroom, and every single person get out of the courtroom except me and 3 or 4 other people who were sitting in the front row. Why, I don't know, but what? I wasn't going to just leave on my own. Nobody asked me to leave, so I stayed. And I saw him, and the judge went berserk. When nobody was in the courtroom, he didn't have to be nice to present himself as a benevolent despot to the jury and to the media. He went nuts, and he, really yelled at this distinguished lawyer. And he said to him, what you did was contemptuous. It reminds me of Mae West in Little Chickadee, I think, where the judge says to her, you're showing contempt for this court. And she says, no, Your Honor, I'm trying my best to hide my contempt for this court. Well, I'm sure that's what he was doing. He was hiding his contempt for the court. But everybody's entitled to roll their eyes. This is not Taxi, where a psychotic says, you looking at me? You looking at me? That's you're allowed to look at somebody. You're allowed to roll your eyes, as I did and as other people did. But the judge then went further than I've ever seen a judge go. Look, I have been in courtrooms all over the world. I've been in courtrooms in Russia. I've been in courtrooms in China. I've been in courtrooms in Ukraine. I've been in courtrooms in England. I've been in courtrooms in France. I've been in courtrooms in Italy. I've been in courtrooms all over the world. I've been to, I think, courtrooms in 40 of the 50 states in the United States or thereabouts. I've never seen a judge threaten to strike a defense witness's entire testimony because he rolled his eyes. Let's assume he did something wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. Let's assume he did something wrong. So you punish him, but you don't punish the defendant. How dare a judge suggest that he could deny Donald Trump his right to a defense because the judge didn't like the way a witness looked at him? If you don't like the way a witness looks at you, look away. You're supposed to have a thick skin, Your Honor. This is not your courtroom. This is the courtroom of every citizen of New York and of every citizen of the United States. Grow up, judge. Get a thick skin. But don't strike or threaten to strike the testimony of a major defense witness. If he did that, that would be the easiest appeal I had ever argued. The idea that a judge can deny a defendant his Sixth Amendment right to confront witnesses, that's what this guy was doing. He was confronting Cohen. He had been Cohen's lawyer, and he was giving testimony that contradicted his testimony, Cohen's testimony. The idea of striking that is absurd. If a lawyer ever suggested that, that lawyer would be disciplined. That lawyer would be sanctioned. What the judge did was just unacceptable. It was unethical. It was immoral. It was illegal. It was unconstitutional. And he gets away. And CNN praised him. CNN headline after headline about how the judge rebuked the defend the witness and how the witness can upset the judge. Nobody went after the judge for doing what no judge is allowed to do, that is striking the testimony of an important defense witness because he doesn't like the way he looked at him. And so, there are so many reversible errors in this case. In one day, I saw more errors than I've seen in trials that took 6 months. In one day, I just kept counting. My God, how could the judge be doing this? What's the reason? I don't know. Is it because his daughter is making money off this trial? That's what Trump alleges. I don't know whether that's true or not. His daughter does work for a fundraising company, which fundraises for people, including one person who helped prepare Michael Cohen for his testimony, a congressman from New York. But whatever the reason is, this judge has such a strong bias. Now, you wouldn't know it if you were not in the courtroom when the judge excluded everybody. I was there. I could see the bias. I was sitting just feet away from the judge. I could see how angry he was at a defense attorney, at a defendant, a witness, a defense witness, and a defense attorney who was on Trump's side. And you can see the way he treats Trump's lawyers as distinguished from how he treats the lawyers for the prosecution. The lawyers are quite good in this case. The prosecution lawyers are quite good. The defense lawyers are quite good. It's just the judge who isn't very good.